All right, bonjour, folks. How you doing? Long time no see. I'll get right to it. I thought I'd recorded this video earlier this week, but clearly I didn't. So my information is almost outdated. In either case, I went to New York this past weekend for a much needed break, visiting an old friend, and we had a ball. Um, I went there to see the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra perform with the Philadelphia Orchestra. They were supposed to be performing a new piece written by Wynton, but the piece wasn't ready, and so they pivoted and performed something completely different. Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra performed works from Wynton's piece, The Jungle. I believe it was from The Jungle. And I believe the Philadelphia Orchestra performed some Beethoven. I don't have the programs in front of me, but yeah, so it was fantastic. Um, the thing that I loved the most, okay, so this is a kind of a roundabout thing. I used to work for, random fact, I used to work for the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra at one point in the 90s. I don't care that I'm aging myself. I'm happy with my age. And the time that I was working for the Atlanta Symphony, um, the conductor at the time was due to leave. I can't remember if he was retiring or if his contract was up or what the issue was, but he was leaving. Yoel Levy, and they were interviewing potential replacements for Mr. Levy. And one of the potential replacements that they were interviewing was Marin Alsop. And I remember thinking, like, I thought it was dope that a woman was the conductor. And I thought it would have been even better if she had gotten the job because the president of the orchestra was a woman, Alison Volgamore. I think her last name was Volgamore. My apologies if I got that wrong. But I respected Allison tremendously. And so I thought, like, how awesome would it be if the president of the orchestra and the new conductor are both women? So I was kind of cheering for Marin Alsop, but ultimately they went with a different conductor. And I had been kind of chasing seeing her conduct an orchestra for years since then. I think she's been here in Baltimore, and I didn't get to see much of that because I don't go out much anymore. Um, Philadelphia's not that far. I think she's done stuff with them. And so to see that, to know that she was the guest conductor, I was like, oh, that's like extra, because everyone knows how I feel about Jazz at Lincoln Center. Like Wynton was my introduction to like real jazz, and so anytime I get an opportunity to see them, I make sure that I'm there. So to see Marin Alsop with it was just the perfect storm. So I was super excited to go, and it was also a bucket list item for me to go to Carnegie Hall. I had always wanted to go to Carnegie Hall, and for some reason, every time I'm in New York, I'm going around it, but I never go into Carnegie Hall. So I was so happy that I got to do that. The performance was masterful, and Marin Alsop, watching her conduct, I got emotional. I feel like it was such a beautiful, like she has such a command of the orchestra, and it was like she was bringing something else out of the musicians. It was beautiful to see, and I really enjoyed it. Funny story. Now that that's out, and then Jazz at Lincoln Center. I apologize. Jazz at Lincoln Center was great. Um, it was fun to see them perform and watch them perform, to hear Wynton play, and then to kind of pay attention to some of the faces of the Philadelphia Orchestra members while Wynton was playing his solos. And then you had beautiful, beautiful solos from like Vincent Gardner, Chris Crenshaw, Alexis Tarantino. They were all just superb, and the night, the music, just it all worked together, and I was so happy. My friend Courtney and I were ecstatic. We had a great time. Um, that night. So I was very, very happy with my decision, even though I got a lot going on at home that I need to take care of. But I needed the break, and it was well deserved, well earned. So that was great. But funny story, I do not know how people go to concerts and sleep, y'all. There was a woman next to me, full blown, like snoring. Full blown. The first half of the performance. I mean, like, not like doing all of this and so it was funny. And apparently I didn't realize it because, I'd give her a look every now and again. But apparently some other people, I saw other people looking, but apparently somebody was really upset and went and complained. So the second half for the Jazz at Lincoln Center piece, she only like nodded one time. So she kind of forced herself to stay awake. So someone probably really did complain. But I just thought that's hysterical, because how do you go? And what's so crazy about that is that jazz music and classical music relaxes me when I'm at home. So when I'm at home, I'm pretty much the same as the woman, but I can sit through a performance and like be fully engaged, like excited, like listening to the music, like watching a tennis match. Like I want to see them. It's like a sport to me to watch the performers, to watch the musicians, and to see what they do, and to see how they draw breath, and to see how they, like, I love watching the live performances of classical and jazz music. But at home, for some reason at home, it really relaxes me. So I sympathize with her, but like, come on, you paid too much money for that seat, lady. So that was funny. So then Saturday, I was supposed to turn right around and come home. Mentioned a lot of crazy stuff I'm dealing with right now that won't go into. And so I was completely dressed to leave. I'm wearing a hoodie and jeans. I stopped and got some tea. And I'm saying my goodbyes. And I can't remember what happened, but I called home and my family is like, you know what? Like, you don't need to rush back. Like, enjoy the time with your friend. Like, enjoy your time. You don't have to always rush back and take care of everything. Like, enjoy your day. And so I thought to myself, like, you know what? I think they're right. I am going to stay here, and I'm going to see what I can get myself into. And then I had the incredible thought, I wonder if there's a matinee at the opera. When you know there was. I really wish that I had gotten to change my clothes, because I had the same experience for Friday night. Friday night, I forgot to mention, I was supposed to get there at 3:30. I'm having dinner with my friend at 5. I was supposed to, because my hotel wasn't that far from the train, I thought I would have time to get to the room, change my clothes, and then meet my friend for dinner. But the train was delayed. They were single tracking, so I didn't get to my room until 4:30. And then there were tons of people waiting for the elevators. So I couldn't, all that to say, I had to go to Friday night's performance wearing what I traveled in. And I thought, like, maybe I should change my clothes, but I was like, oh, I'll have plenty of time. I was wearing sweats. Fortunately, they were black, so I kind of sort of got away with it, but I didn't have time to change. So the same thing happens to me on Saturday. I'm supposed to be leaving. I'm like, oh, I'm going to stay, and then I'm wearing what I was going to travel to on the train in. But all that to say, huge shout out to the women at the box office of the Metropolitan Opera. They worked so diligently to try to help me get one seat. All I needed was one seat that wouldn't break the bank, because it was a last minute thing. If I can plan for it, I don't mind spending the money sometimes, but when it's last minute and they say $400, that was a tough one. So huge shout out to the lady at the box office. I hate that I didn't get her name, who really worked with me to get me a good seat, and it was a fantastic, fantastic, fantastic show. And then on top of that, after everything was over, the composer and the librettist were hanging out in the lobby. I think they were just leaving. So I got to take pictures with them, and I got to tell the composer, again, another woman, I got to tell her like how impressive it was to see what she accomplished, to see what she created on stage of the Metropolitan Opera. And I told her she is a trailblazer, and I was so proud and so happy for her. And she gave me a nice little hug, and we took great pictures. The librettist, he was a kind man, and we sat and talked for a few minutes. I didn't want to take away from anyone else who wanted to take pictures, but I really, really enjoyed the opera. And I'm sorry I didn't record this earlier, because I think tomorrow, June 5th, is the last day for the opera. It's El Último Sueño, and pardon my Spanish, I suck. I can read it, I cannot speak it, but I'm going to work on that. El Último Sueño de Frida y Diego. So it's the last dream of Frida and Diego, and it's essentially based on kind of real life events of like Diego when he passed, or before he passed, his dream apparently, according to what I've read, was to be buried alongside, or cremated, to be near where Frida was when she passed, because she had passed 3 years before he did. But he remarried after Frida passed away. And so the thought was that when it was his time, when he passed, that his current wife was not going to honor that wish. She did not want him near Frida, so he's buried somewhere completely separate. But this opera is like his chance to have his last dream fulfilled. So it starts in the cemetery with him calling out to Frida. It doesn't mention that he's married, so it's not like completely based on real life. So he's, they're calling out to Frida, wanting her to visit him in his dreams so that he could see her. A character I'll call the overseer of spirits is there while he's in the cemetery, and when he leaves, she calls out to Frida and encourages her to come back so that Diego can see her. And she relays that Diego's not in the best health. And so it's a whole huge production, very colorful, which is right on par with, Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera as artists. Very colorful, vibrant. The choreography was beautiful. I want to go into some of the opera, but I'll keep it brief. The thing that I love the most. So I told you it started with Diego visiting Frida's grave, and the overseer calling out to Frida. So when she calls out to Frida to say, hey, you need to come back and spend time with your old pot-bellied husband, Frida's like, no, I'm not coming back. I do not want to come back there. And the overseer's like, why wouldn't you come back? Like, he needs you. He needs to see you. And she's like, no. The two greatest pains of my life were the day I got hit by a train, or a trolley, pardon me. The day I got hit by a trolley, and the day I met Diego Rivera. Y'all, I was in my seat squirming. Like, did she just say the greatest pains of her life were the day that she got hit? But she compared getting hit by a bus to the day she met the man she eventually married, and she married him twice. I was like, whoa. She said the greatest pains of her life were the day she got hit by a bus/trolley and the day she met Diego Rivera. But he's still calling out to her. I'm like, Diego, leave her alone. She don't want you. But, pardon me. I like to have fun at the opera. And so I think the thing that really resonated with me, or the thing that made my heart smile a little bit, is that when she finally convinced her to come back, there was one reason she agreed to come back, and it was because she wanted to have access to her art again. She wanted to create again. And I just thought that was a beautiful thing, particularly when you consider, what's going on in podcast culture nowadays, where you've got these podcast bros talking about women are going to be dying alone, and not realizing that some women want it that way. So it was just neat that she was not coming back for Diego. She came back for her art, for what made her heart sing, for what made her happy. And so there was a lot more that went on, but it was a beautiful, beautiful production. And to have that time at the end with the composer and librettist, it just made my trip that much more special. So I had to share with you guys. It was much needed time away. I got a lot going on that I need to work on. So I know people have been reaching out to me for reviews, and they're coming. But I needed a mental health break, and it was great to spend time with my friend. I loved it, and I got to see some great art, like New York City. Mwah, you owe me nothing. I loved it. So, okay. Just going to say thank y'all for being patient with me. I know I don't come on here regularly, but I am going to start creating more content, because I feel like, if I'm trying to grow my platform, get myself out there so that more people are familiar with who I am and what I do with Beats and Bebop Media, I have to do some of this. And then hopefully there will come a time where either it'll become more natural or I won't have to. But thank y'all for being patient with me, and I will be back soon. Ta-ta!